Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to a different sort of seminar this morning. We are going to be doing a somewhat more specialized topic that a number of you seem to be interested in from the attendance this morning. That's great. The Just a second. Responding to a request there. Okay. Our topic this morning, of course, as you're well aware, is Zoom apps. These are extensions or additions to your basic Zoom capability that you can access, many of them for free, totally for free, which have until recently been denied to us by the settings, the administrative settings in our Confer Zoom account group, which is managed by CCC Confer over at, or Tech Connect, I guess they call themselves now, over at Palomar College for the State Chancellor's Office. And they've had perfectly good reasons for not giving us access to these before now. For one thing, they don't have the bandwidth, the people, and the capability to provide support and manage these things and so on. So, but there's a movement afoot at Tech Connect to devolve the management of institutional Confer Zoom accounts onto the individual districts instead of having them all managed at the state level. And enough folks have done that, enough districts have done that to apparently to allow them to go ahead and activate some Zoom apps for all of us, even for the districts who have not yet accepted their Tech Connect's request to take over management of their Zoom account group. And that has not happened here yet for perfectly good reasons. There's going to be a little bit of disruption when we switch the management of our Zoom apps over. For one thing, some of your Zoom setting defaults will change. And things that you may have been able to do, you will have to go in order to continue doing, you'll have to go in and reset some Zoom app settings. And that we don't want to do that kind of disruption we don't want that kind of disruption in the middle of a semester. So it's not at the very earliest that any change like that could happen would be during the summer. And it may not be that soon. I'm hearing so, and I have no, no say in that. So I'm just reporting what I hear. But another reason is the same reason that Tech Connect wants to devolve this management onto the individual districts is that we have very limited personnel at Online Learning Pathways. I'm just a contractor, so I don't hardly count. And our full-time staff is quite small, and they don't want to bite off more than they can chew. And this is definitely not the most important task that's on the horizon for Online Learning Pathways. Keeping Canvas running, keep supporting Zoom as we use it now, and keeping and providing good support to you all is our far higher priorities than this. But that said, we do now have some access to Zoom apps in our Confer Zoom accounts, as evidenced by the appearance of a little apps icon in our Zoom host menus when we host our own Zoom meetings. We see a little apps icon. It's on the right-hand end of the Zoom host menus. Let me show you where that is real quick.
It requires you to be logged into your Zoom account.
Yes, that's one of the necessities in order to be able to utilize apps. or load them, it's this little icon down here, just to the left of the More menu there, which you will see if you are fully logged into your Zoom account and you are hosting, which of course you have to be in order to host your own meetings. But the what we can do with that right now, as I say, is there are a few Zoom apps that we can load and use at this point in time without permission from the account administrators at CCC or at Tech Connect, and the permissions to load other apps appear not to be forthcoming because, again, they just don't have the time and the personnel to deal with this, and they're in the process of passing this kind of decision making and this kind of management on to the individual districts. So I don't anticipate that capability, the permissions from Tech Connect coming through anytime. I've been waiting for some time on a couple of apps that I just decided I'd try and ask for permission. There's generally, when you install an app, there's a button that allows you to ask for permission to add it to your Zoom account. And I've requested three of them, and haven't heard back on any of them yet, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon either. All right, so what we're going to start off doing today is looking at Zoom apps that you can add and use. Some that I've gone through. There are something like 90 dozen Zoom apps available total right now to the Zoom community. I've gone through every page of that list and tried to pick out a few that could be used by us at this point and that look like they have some utility to us. You bet, Robert. Let me go ahead and turn my subtitles off. Subtitles are enabled. Sorry about that. So, how do we get started with this? Well, it's very simple. You just kick off a Zoom meeting in your own Confer Zoom account, your own Zoom Pro account, and you click on the Apps icon down in the Zoom menu. I suspect that most of you who are interested enough to be here this morning have probably tried this at some point. When you do that, a little panel pops in from the left, and you see My Apps, and there's probably nothing there because there are no Zoom apps loaded by default. There is also a second button here labeled Discover, and if you click that, you see one app that you know you can load. Let me see. Sure, that's not somebody trying to get through here. No. Just in case that rings, we'll cut that off. This timer is cute enough. It's not terribly useful given that we have so many timers available to us and so on, but it's just a little meeting timer or an event timer that allows you to set a timer and let it count down. So let's say you're using your breakout rooms, and you tell the students that the breakout rooms are going to be open for 30 minutes, and you want a timer to remind you that will go off and alert you to the fact that it's getting close to time for the breakout rooms to close and for everybody to go back into the main room. Or you may just give your students time to investigate something on their own with a time limit. So, what we're going to use this little timer app for is to illustrate how to add an app to your Zoom account. I am coming to you through a Confer Zoom account here, which is just identical to the ones that you are using. So I can click on this timer app here, and I'll get a little description of it, and it tells you what it'll do. Perfect for keeping meetings on track, time-based tasks, and even on Zoom group meditation. I don't know. I have not tried that technique yet, providing time for you all to meditate. Maybe I should, but at least the timer would let me control how long that happened. So, if you can add an app, you'll have an add button next to it. You just click that, and it takes you to a page on the Zoom website where it tells you that you're about to add a timer app. I guess you figured that out because you clicked on the button. It gives you some information about what this app can do so that you're well aware of what you're about to do. This one doesn't seem to have any major permissions. You can also allow this app to use your so-called shared access permissions. If I click Learn More there, so this is not something you have to allow. So I'm just going to skip over that and not check this. And then I have this Authorize button down here that will actually allow the app to be added to my Zoom account. I click that, and I get this button to relaunch. And here I am back in the Zoom meeting, and the timer app is now available over here on the right. I can, by the way, hide this and let it run in the background anytime. Here's a little collapse app button up here, and that reduces the size of this panel a little bit. I can also click on the little control menu in the upper right here. The 3 horizontal dots is a menu. If you click on that, you can pop this out and have it in a window that you can drag out of the way or put off on another monitor if you have multiple monitors. You can refresh the app from this menu in case you've had it installed for a while and there might have been updates to it or something. Or you can just close it and get out of it. Once you do that, of course, it's no longer active. To bring it back up, you can just click on it and open it. And there we're back at the timer. And you can set this timer just by using the, I think you can type into that. Let's see. No, actually, it won't let you type in then. Oh, yeah, well, it won't let me do it from the keypad, the numeric keypad on my keyboard. That's interesting. But I can use the numbers across the top of the keyboard and type, or I can use the up and down arrows to set a timer. So I'll set that for a minute. And then I have and I have down here in the lower right, I have some pre-selected times, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, to save you even more time with this, or more effort. But once you set the timer, and it's just a countdown timer, like the one on your phone, you just start it, and it proceeds to count down. And I believe if I close it and then open it again, it will keep. No, that didn't keep running. So let's do that again. But I can always pop this out into a separate window, which for some reason is not showing to you. I don't know why that did that. Oh, yeah, this window apparently Zoom will not share. When I pop it out, it's no longer available it's no longer visible. If I'm sharing my Zoom screen, it's no longer visible. And I can just move that timer off onto another screen and keep it running. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to have to set my chroma key on here. And get that ominous black background. Now I'm not using Zoom for this. Here we go. And there's my, there's my timer over there. And you heard it just finished and gave me a little beep. So I know when the timer finishes. So this is labeled as a productivity app. It's pretty minimal in terms of capability, but it can be handy. And it is one that you can load with absolutely no hassle. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And close my, I'm going to do that. And get this off the screen. I got the app panel off my Zoom screen just by clicking the app icon down there again. So that's the real basics, the minimum you need to get started playing with apps. But there are a lot, like I say, there's something like, there were about, in the so-called app marketplace list, there were about a dozen apps per page, 10 to a dozen apps per page, and there were like 92 or 93 pages of available apps. So there's a lot more out there that we can use. If I go back and bring up the apps screen again and go back to the beginning of the apps dialog here, I have this Discover button at the top. And when I click on that, initially I only see the timer. It's the only one that it suggests to me. But I have this link here that says Discover More Apps on App Marketplace. All right, at this point, you're going to have, in order to see this, you're going to, or to use this, you're going to have to be logged in to your Zoom account on the web at zoom.us. If you click that and you're not logged in, you're going to be prompted to log in. If you are already logged in, as I am here, I can tell because my little profile picture is visible up here in the upper right. Now I get a list of a ton of Zoom apps. If I go to all categories, in this category list over here, I see there are 92 pages of these things. And what are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 20 apps per page. So there are 20 times 92. Who can do that in their heads? 10 times 92 would be, good God, really? 920 times 2, almost 1,800 Zoom apps. Am I doing that right? Any math teachers out there? There's a bucket load of apps out there from which you can choose. But the vast majority of them are going to have this problem associated with them. Let me just find one here, like I think Adaptive Shield. Or we'll do Kaltura. Not that we use Kaltura, but that one didn't show. It just has in some cases, the app button will be grayed out. In others, you will see visit site to add. And if you see that, you can probably install this app. But let me pick one that I know will not let me install here. I can, of course, scroll through these. I can go through, I can select featured apps. I can select apps from Zoom. And let's see, I'm pretty sure this one, yeah. Most of them are going to show this button right here when you click on them, request to install. And if you click that button, you can send a request to the administrators of our Confer Zoom account group. And I don't expect that you will hear back from them. So this app probably is not one that we could use at this point in our Confer Zoom accounts. There are some ways around that I'm going to show you here in a few minutes, but for now, those we probably want to leave off. Okay, so you can also go to this list here and select member installable apps, which will give you a bit of a heads up or a bit of a leg up, but some of these are also going to have that nasty little request to install button. Alrighty, so what can we do? Well, what we can do is go through and find a potload of see if we can, through this potload of apps, and see if we can find apps that are available to us that we can actually install in our Confer Zoom apps. And I've done that for you, and I've picked some out that I thought looked useful, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't want to do that for yourself. And I have picked a few out, and these are the ones that I found, other than the timer here at the top, that look like they might be useful, absent this LTI Pro app here. There's 3 here, and there's one more that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you how to actually add that one. But let's start with the ones that I've been able to add here. And the first one is the Google Workspace app. This one does not require admin authorization. It just requires that you have a Google account, and that the vast majority of us do. If you have if you use Gmail, you already have a Google account. If you use YouTube, you already have a Google account, or Google Docs, or Google Drive. All of those require a Google account, and one Google account serves for all Google resources, or it gives you access to all Google resources. So there's anyone can have that, and excuse me. This is also true with the separate Gmail app. And let me show you what these do. These don't show up. And this whole thing gets a little messy. These don't show up on your apps. Let me minimize this. They don't show up when you click on Discover in your apps list here, or in My Apps. The only one showing there is the timer, because these actually function outside of Zoom, as some Zoom apps do, at the site where the app, where the integrated application is located. And these apps, that Google app, those 2 Google apps, to access them, I have to go to the Google resources that integrate, that Zoom then is integrated with through this app. For instance, with Google Workspace, this allows you to schedule, join, manage, and customize meetings and calls if you have the meetings from Gmail and Google Calendar. So this app only works with Gmail and Google Calendar, and to utilize it, you have to go to your Gmail account or your Google Calendar account to see them. And basically what it lets you do is start your Zoom meetings from there instead of starting them from within Zoom. So it's a minor convenience. If you use Gmail and you're checking your Gmail and you see something that prompts you to need to start a Zoom meeting right away or to schedule a Zoom meeting right away, you can do that from Gmail without having to go back to Zoom to do it. Same thing with Google Calendar. So let's see what those look like. This is not earth-shattering, but it can save you some time. It can be useful. To see how that works, we'll need to go to I've got a Gmail account, most of us do, for personal use. And since I've added that app to Zoom and integrated my Zoom account, my Confer Zoom account even, with that Zoom app, I have here actually two apps that affect, that provide me a little Zoom button over here on the right-hand side of my Gmail page. One is the Zoom for Gmail app, and one is the Zoom for G Suite app. G Suite is, of course, Google's suite of personal productivity tools, including things like Google Docs and things like that. But the Zoom for Gmail app operates specifically only in Gmail or in Google Calendar. And what it does, if I click on it, is that I have to open a Gmail message in order to use this. And when I do that, I get a button to start a Zoom meeting, or schedule one, or view my upcoming Zoom meetings. And I can do that right from within Gmail, only because I have set this app up to work with my Zoom account. So if I want to schedule a meeting, I can just click that, and then I have a minimal meeting scheduling interface where I can give the meeting a name. And I can specify the time zone. I'm in the same time zone as you all. Unexpectedly. I can set the time and the duration. And I can edit that time, of course. It just picks the next whole hour, but I could set this to 12 noon. It uses 24-hour time, so if you want to set that to 1 o'clock, you got to do 13. You can enable meeting summary. You can add participants. If you are inviting people, you can add participants by entering their email addresses here. And then you can create the meeting. You could also just go to Zoom and do this. Go to zoom.us and do this. Or go to the Confer Zoom app in Canvas and do it from there. Confer Zoom, of course, is another Zoom app that we've had access to for forever. But it's not listed in the app marketplace because it's a privately sourced and created app for the California community colleges. So that's what the Google app for Gmail will let you do. If you get an email and it says, "We need to meet, can you set up a Zoom meeting?" You can do that right from within Gmail rather than having to go back to Zoom. Like I say, not the most amazing thing, but useful at times. All right, let's go back to the app marketplace. We'll look at the Google Workspace. Well, that was, let's go to Google Workspace. This one, also, I should say we need to go to the Google Calendar, and that will calendar.google.com. This is another resource that you get with your free Zoom, or free Google app. Go to your Google Calendar. If you use this extensively, this is what we use to share our professional development schedule with you. And since I have added this Google Workplace Zoom app, I get this little Zoom button over here. If I click on that, it knows who I am. It knows which account I have my Confer Zoom account connected to this. And what this one allows you to do is start a meeting in your personal meeting room with one click, right from the Google Calendar. So if you suddenly see something on the calendar that says, "Oh my God, I'm supposed to be offering a professional development session right now." Oh my God, I forgot to start that up. You can start that personal meeting right away. And I'm not going to continue that because we're already meeting in my personal meeting room. I'm not quite sure what will happen if I do that, so I'm going to cancel it. But you can start an instant meeting just like that from the calendar. Whereas from Gmail, you were able to do it with the Gmail app, which is also in this list here. You can actually schedule a meeting in advance from Gmail. So those are the two Google related Zoom apps that we have access to right now via our Confer Zoom accounts. We have something similar for Microsoft Teams. Teams is, of course, Microsoft's answer to Zoom. And it's something that all of you either have access to now or will soon have access to, or I think can have access to if you want it now, by a request to your department head or dean to be included in the rollout of the Microsoft Office 365 accounts, which the district, I guess the state has bought for everybody. Teams, as I say, is an alternative to Zoom, or has an alternative live meeting capability to Zoom. And it's one we're going to be taking a look at next week, since more and more people now, and more faculty now have access to Microsoft Teams. It's something that you may prefer to use in lieu of Zoom. Can't say I've had access to Teams for quite a while, and I can't say that I'd throw Zoom over for it. But what this Microsoft Teams Zoom app does for you is allow you to use Zoom from within Microsoft Teams. And you might ask, why? Because Microsoft Teams is a lot more than just a live meeting tool. It's also a discussion and information sharing tool, which has capabilities far beyond any such capabilities found in Zoom itself. They're more like the capabilities you find in a collaborative working tool like Slack. Some of you may have heard of that, or perhaps have used it at other institutions or in other contexts. And it's it's basically a discussion app on steroids that allows you to keep in contact with members of your work team, your department, your division, whatever. And it facilitates sharing of information, scheduling of meetings, things like that. And Microsoft Teams has a lot of the same capabilities as Slack. So it's quite useful even if you're not using it for live meetings, like we're using Zoom here. And what this Zoom app for Microsoft Teams does is allow you to use Zoom right out of Teams without having to leave the Teams app and go to Zoom and start a meeting. It looks something like this. Let me bring up Teams here, which I have on my computer. This is something that when you sign up for, let me get out of the way here. No, I'm sharing that screen with you. That won't be a problem. All right. And if I bring Teams over here, this is what Teams looks like. You have teams that you can join or that you can be invited to. I've got 4 of them that I'm associated with, mostly associated with the online learning pathways. I'm also in the College of Continuing Education's HighFlex pilot. But I've made a little demonstration team here. And in here, if I go to my apps here, I can bring up the Teams Zoom app. And I can, this one operates very idiosyncratically. To start a Zoom meeting here, you type start. You get a meeting, and then you click here to join it. And then, bada boom, you get the join a meeting dialog, and boom, you're in your own meeting. And then you can invite other people to it and so on. If you have the meeting set, or if you have your Zoom meeting settings to allow join before host, as I do on mine, as you were able to join today, those of you who showed up before I did today were able to join, then you can join directly. And you can allow your other team members to join directly. Again, it just saves you a few clicks in going over and leaving Teams and going to Zoom and starting an app or starting a meeting in the usual way. But it does give you the capability to use the to do live meetings with your Zoom or with your Teams, Microsoft Teams team members, as opposed to using the live meeting tool in Microsoft Teams, which quite frankly is not quite as well developed or as simple to use or as well known to your students and your colleagues as Zoom. Though we're starting to see some folks use Microsoft Teams to communicate with their students as well, because we're hearing that students are going to be getting sometime within the next year or so, students may well be getting their own access to our email system. They'll have their own email accounts through the district, which will greatly facilitate communication with them. And they'll also have access to things like Teams. In fact, you can use Teams in much of the same way, the Teams live meeting app in much the same way that you can use Zoom. And your students don't have to have Teams accounts to join. You just send them a link and they can click and they can join your Microsoft Teams meetings. And we'll show you that. If you want to drop by next Wednesday, I think it is, at 2 o'clock, we'll show you how to do that. If you want to start playing with Teams, you may find that Teams is a useful thing for you in lieu of Zoom. Though I can tell you that I won't be switching over from Zoom anytime soon. All right, so these apps have been fairly limited utility for the most part. I'm going to show you now how to add. There is one more Google-related Zoom app that you can add, and I'm going to show you how to add a Google-related Zoom app here. And this one actually has some interesting capabilities, a little bit beyond what we've seen so far with these. So to add that app, I'm going to go back to the app marketplace itself, to the full list, and I can search these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apps by going to this search box here, and I'll just search for Google. And the one I'm going to show you is called Google, that you can install yourself in your Confer Zoom app. It's called Google Drive for Zoom. And this connects your Zoom account with Google Drive, Google's file storage, and which of course includes Google's productivity apps like Google Docs and Google Slides, Google Presentations. I'm sorry, Google Slides is Google Presentations. Google Sheets, the spreadsheet, Excel alternative, and Google Docs, and so on. So this connects that environment with your Zoom account. So I can click on that, and I just have this add button. Oh my God, it doesn't say request to add. It doesn't say go to the site to add or whatever. It just says add. Oh boy, let's see how that works. I can add that app. First thing you're asked is, first thing you're told is what this app can do. It can view information about your profile, your Google profile, your Google settings, and and about product usage. So Google is going to be collecting information from this. So you have to decide, do I really? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Google already knows so much about us. There's nothing that they want to know about us that they don't already know. Unless you've been living on the top of a mountain, off the grid, with no internet access and no running water for the last 20 years. So I'm going to go ahead and authorize this. Just click the authorize button. And then I'm asked to authorize the institution or the company called Splain. As in, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. From I Love Lucy, those of you who are around the 50s. And this allows this third-party provider to access your Google Drive account. This is where you decide, do I really want to do this or not? Well, yeah, I'm going to do it. And so I'm going to authorize that. It asks me, since I might have more than one Google account, it asks me which one. It automatically pops, if you are already logged into a Google account, it pops that one up automatically, or you could use another one if you have more than one Google account, which is not uncommon and perfectly permitted by Google. So, but I'm going to use my main Google account here and now it says this Splain.io, this company wants to access my Google account. So and it tells me what it can do. See, edit, create, and delete only the specific Google Drive files you use with this app. We'll see what those are, and that's okay in this case. So I'm going to, and there are all sorts of hair-raising security warnings, but this is pretty innocuous, actually. So I'm going to allow this, and success. Your account's now successfully linked to your Google Drive account. What does that do for me? It does something pretty neat, actually. When I record to the Zoom cloud, once the Zoom cloud recording is ready, it automatically downloads that Zoom cloud recording file and the transcript from it, if one exists, and puts it in my Google Drive. So I don't have to worry about about TechConnect starting to run out of space on our Zoom cloud storage, as happened year before last, and start screaming to us to remove stuff, or we're going to remove Zoom cloud recordings for you if you don't remove them by a certain date, and so on, which, by the way, they never did. But they just threatened it because enough people complied without them having to do that. But it gives you an automatic backup of your Zoom cloud recordings. It also gives you some limited capability to edit them right within Google Drive. This all sounds pretty neat, and there's got to be a gotcha, and there is. When you install this app, you get 7 days of this service for free. And if you want to continue using it after that, you got to pay them $5 a month. So I'm mainly showing you this one to show you how to install a Google account. I haven't decided whether I'm going to keep this one or not, but I'm still thinking about that. Let me show you what it does for you. If I go to my Google Drive, drive.google.com, when I enable that app, it automatically creates a folder in my Google Drive subfolder called Zoom Recordings, which I can open by double-clicking. And I've had this installed, or installed it yesterday and played with it a little bit. And I don't often record to the Zoom cloud because I like to have my Zoom recordings locally available. Like I'm recording this meeting right now in a local Zoom recording. It's going directly to my hard drive, but I did a couple of recordings here. And every time a Zoom recording comes down, you get a subfolder for it. And this happened automatically. It just went in and reached into my Zoom Cloud recordings list. It can only pull down the ones that you record after you connect the app. Okay. But here's one that I got yesterday, and I see an audio recording file here, the video and audio recording, and the transcript file. And those are now stored in my Google Drive. They count against my storage allocation in Google Drive, but Google Drive for free gives you 15 gigabytes of storage. That's a lot of streaming video recording. That's a lot of Zoom recordings. So you won't run out anytime soon. And of course, you can buy more storage from Google Drive. Google would be more than happy to sell that to you. So if you decided this was something you wanted to do, it's viable. To see this video, I can click on it here. Let's see, and I'm still learning this, so forgive me if I stumble around a little bit. To actually see the video, I can open it up in Spleen.io's little video editor that this comes with. And it takes it a minute to pull that into the video editor. And this is a very small recording. This is about a minute's recording, so this might take some time. You're seeing all this, yep. All right, so here's that video editor, and in a second, the file will appear over here, right? So I can pull this file over into the video editor, and I can play it. Alrighty, we're going to try this cloud recording here. This is not much of a video, and this was this was recorded quite late last night. Forgive the even more than usual usually disheveled appearance here. I probably shouldn't be sharing this one, but you have some video editing capability here. You can trim this from either end, so that you can trim out stuff at the beginning and the end of the video that you don't need to show people. You can add other videos into this by uploading them from your, let me find another little bitty video here. That one's not very big. I don't know what it is. We'll find out. I can open that and upload the file. So I get another video here, so I can drag that one over and put it on the timeline right next to the one I've already had. So I can put those together. I'm not quite sure why I have that one, but so I have those two videos put together. I can, oh, there are a variety of other things. I'm not going to spend the time to train on this, what they call the Movie Maker online video editor that comes with that $5 a month. It's not the greatest video editor in the world, but this is so automated that if you just wanted to do really basic things like back up your Zoom videos and maybe add 2 or 3 of them together or something like that, or add them together with other videos that you have, it's something you might find useful. You're also kind of bombarded with ads until you pay the $5 a month. You also have audio, control over the audio. You can increase or decrease your audio volume in the editor, so you can do that minimal bit of audio editing. So, you know, it's interesting. And when you're done, you can save the project so you can come back and work on it later, or you can just create the video that you just edited. So you can export or render your edited video out as a new video file, which you can then share with people. You can have it automatically upload to YouTube, or you can have it upload to YouTube, where it can be captioned automatically and shared with your students. So there's some basic capability with this app.
Dave?
Yes, go ahead. Question. Good.
Couple of questions in the chat. I was wondering if you could address that. Thanks.
Okay.
The EDU account was for the email for students. Will that be an EDU? Because I know there's
yes, it'll be an svccd.edu account. Or okay. I'm not sure of the exact what the exact domain name is going to be, but I believe it will be an EDU account.
Okay, great.
But I don't know when that's going to happen. Okay. Well, we've heard this before. Okay. So don't get too excited. Okay. Yes, and another question?
Yeah, when I take the zoom off from the recording, I can only trim the edges, but right. I can't do anything in the middle.
Correct.
This editing tool that you're showing allow me to truncate or?
That's a really good question. I have not seen any indication that that is a capability of this one.
Okay.
But I'm
Yeah.
going to show you another app here in a few minutes where that would be a capability. Unfortunately, it's one that you won't have access to in your Confer Zoom account yet.
Yeah, I've been having to go to Camtasia or iMovies and do that. And,
Right.
you know, when,
There is a Zoom app that can really streamline that process, and I'm going to show you that in a minute.
okay, thanks.
You bet. Good questions. And this pretty much concludes the section of the presentation on apps that you can use in your Confer Zoom apps right now. Okay, I'm just going to let that run out. I'm not going to, I'll come back to that in a moment. I don't want to spend the time to, it is,
Dave,
you can see this video is just partially converted. Yes, another question. Good.
I wrote it in the chat, but since you said you were concluding this part, earlier you said something about about an app that you didn't want to put access to it. Like, who was that access to? Was that to students that you were talking about?
No, it was access to the the company, the third party provider gave access to your Zoom account and or your Google account. So you have to decide whether you're comfortable with that or not. I have not run into any problems with any of these. I haven't seen any red flags that would prevent me from using them, but I have a fairly high tolerance for that sort of thing. So I don't know.
Shared access is with third parties.
Yeah, third
that
party
you don't know about.
vendors. Yeah.
Monitoring you or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So here we are back at, oops, my key is breaking down. Let me fix that.
I have a slightly different question.
Go for it.
Last week, Zoom did an update, and some of my students have still never been able to get on to Zoom after this update. And my students are seniors and ESL, so I'm not sure how to help them. Do you have any suggestions on that?
Yeah, that update was a required client update. I can't imagine why they would not be able to access your Zoom meetings.
Yeah, well, several of them had a lot of difficulty, and one is
I
just got on.
suspect they had trouble with the update process.
Right.
And they somehow it didn't get completed properly, so the client is not functional. What they may have to do is run the update manually again. Unfortunately, I know that may not be in their comfort zone.
Right.
Yeah, I got the same update message that everybody did, and I had to update my client, but it didn't affect me at all. So I'm not quite sure. The other possibility, no, that wouldn't apply to them.
Well, I'll just.
I have not. So apparently there was not any problem with that inherent problem with that update, because all of us have updated and we're still running. So it has something to do with the unsophisticated user who, for some reason, was not able to complete that process. And I don't know what that might have been. That's probably going to have to be dealt with on a one at a time basis, because it may be a different reason for each person.
Yeah.
Or it may have something to do with their computer if it's older or less
Well,
capable.
apparently people with Chromebooks had to do something special. Different.
Chromebook. Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That I can see how that might have been a problem.
but okay, I'll just try to talk to them one-on-one on the phone. See if I
Yeah,
can.
that's about the only thing you can do, and I can't offer much help with that. I don't have a Chromebook.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think they are basically the work of the devil.
Yeah. You don't work
recommended
very
them
well.
to anyone. Even you can get minimal Windows laptops now for a lot less than you used to be able to, that are not really much more expensive than Chromebooks, and that don't, and that have capabilities to actually install software and so on, install Microsoft software. So I will look into the. Thanks very much for letting me know about that. I will look into that and see if there has been a recent, or if there are known problems with that last update vis-a-vis Chromebooks.
Well, I do know there are, and Mary Burns, my colleague, did send out an email how to upload the app for that, but you have to be a little bit computer savvy, I think, to do
Exactly.
that.
So
Yeah.
what happened then apparently is that in that update, Zoom broke the Chromebook integration, and the app had to be reloaded manually.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and Mary has sent out information on how to do that.
She's sent out,
Bless her
she's
heart.
great with that. Yeah, yeah.
Bless her heart. Yeah. Okay, good. No, I had not heard that. But then I don't generally deal with folks who use Chromebooks either. Almost all of you all are using computers or mobile devices like smartphones or tablets or iPads or whatever. And they're much less likely. Yeah, Chromebooks have been a challenge from the get-go. And originally, they were the only way to get inexpensive computing devices into people's hands.
Right.
And of course, another way to enrich Google as well, who licenses the Chrome operating system and so on that they run on. But not a great idea. Okay, well, thanks very much for the heads up. And let me look at before we move on here, let me look at the chat tool and see if there is anything we haven't dealt with. Let's see. Can you delete? No, I think we've answered all that. Okay, now we're going to have to make a change now, which is going to be a little bit exciting. In order to show you some of the other apps that I'd like to show to you today, we're going to need to get out of this Zoom meeting and go to a new one, for which I'm going to give you the link here. And I'm going to leave this meeting running in case somebody comes in late or gets kicked out and needs the link again. And I'm going to I have another computer over here that's in this current meeting that I'm going to share a screen on, where I have directions on how to access the new Zoom meeting that I'm about to start up. This new Zoom meeting will be held in a paid Zoom account that I pay for myself, that is not part of the Confer Zoom account group, and thus not subject to the restrictions placed upon the use of Zoom apps by the Confer Zoom, by Tech Connect, so that I can show you some other more useful types of Zoom apps and give you an idea of whether this whole business is really of use or interest to you. Before I do that, let me make sure that I give you the access credentials here for this new meeting. And I have that here. Let's see. I'm going to pull up a new Google meeting here, and or a new Google or a new web browser tab, and go to zoom.us and log out of my current account, which I can do without trashing this meeting. I tried this earlier to make sure this was possible. Okay, now I'm going to log into my paid account, personal paid account, which I have the login of which is linked to my Google account, so I don't have to keep typing email addresses and passwords to log in. So I can just go to Google here. Let me get myself out of the way here so you can see this process in case that's of interest. It asks me which Google account do you want to, or is this Zoom account associated with. It's my primary Google account. And here I am logged in to the Zoom website as dgibber30060 at gmail.com, as opposed to at yahoo.com, which is my Confer Zoom account. So I can go to my profile here, and I can get for you, actually I want to go to my personal meeting room, and I want to get the meeting ID, which I'm going to put in the chat tool here, which you can copy and paste out of, or just jot it down as you prefer. Let me go to chat. And meeting ID. Is that there is a password associated with this meeting that I cannot take off, because one disadvantage to this paid Google account that I have is that they require you to have a password on your meetings. That's not true with Tech Connect, so that's one of the nice things about our Confer Zoom accounts. You can remove all security options from your Tech Connect accounts, your Confer Zoom accounts, but you can't if you pay for one, which is kind of odd, but there it is. So the password for this account is, not a giant secret, 284722. And there's that one. There's also a join link. I give you these as a backup, but there's a join link as well, which I can access here. And paste into the chat tool. And you should be able to use this. If you just copy this to your clipboard, you should be able to use this. And there it is, in fact. And that account is set to join before host, so you can probably, and I had no way to rehearse, to try this out in advance, so I'm not exactly sure if it'll work, but you can probably just join that meeting by clicking on that link. It will probably force you to leave this one. But if that does not work for any reason, you have the backup here of the meeting ID and the password, and you just go to zoom.us, and in the upper right hand corner, click Join a Meeting, enter the meeting ID here, click Join, and then you'll be prompted for the password, which again I can't remove. So that one of those actions should be able, should allow you to join the new Zoom meeting, which I am about to kick off here. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that by doing it from my web browser here by clicking Host a Meeting with Video On, and open Zoom Meetings. And it's going to, oops.
Recording in progress.
Okay, it's started. Nikki, welcome. You made it fast. Okay. And yet I still, it didn't, that's interesting. It didn't make me exit the other Zoom account.
I did not have to put in a password.
Oh, good. Did you use the join link?
I just clicked on it on your chat box.
Very good. Yeah, the join link has the password embedded in it. That's why you didn't have to enter it separately.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got Nikki in over here. The rest of you, looks like it'll work if you just click on the, and I think I'm still speaking to you. You can just click on that link in the chat tool and join it and jump right over. And I see you coming over. Very good, very good, very good. Now I still have that, this is, this is a bit of a fire drill without ethnic slurs attached there. I'm going to share, I still have another computer over here in that original Zoom meeting, and I'm going to put up some directions on how to join us in case somebody comes in late. Nikki, welcome. You made it fast. Okay. And yet it didn't, that's interesting. It didn't make me exit the other Zoom account.
I did not have to put in a password.
Oh, good. Did you use the join link?
I just clicked on it on your chat box.
Very good. Yeah, the join link has the password embedded in it. That's
Oh,
why
okay.
you didn't have to enter it separately.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got Nikki in over here. The rest of you looks like it'll work if you just click on and I think I'm still speaking to you. You can just click on that link in the chat tool and join it and jump right over. And I see you coming over. Very good, very good, very good. Now I still have that. This is this is a bit of a fire drill without ethnic slurs attached there. I'm going to share, I still have another computer over here in that original Zoom meeting, and I'm going to put up some directions on how to join us in case somebody comes in late. Well, I need to unshare on this meeting. Okay. Okay. In the other meeting now, I have that shared. So I can get rid of this one. Actually, I don't want to end it. I don't really want to leave it. So, just gonna. All right, now hopefully I've got those who are interested in continuing with me in the new meeting, which is in my Gmail account. All right, here I have the capability to load all sorts of apps. And I have done so rather than spend time loading them again. I have done that, so let me show you what we have to play with here. If I go to my apps tool, I have to sign in now to the new account. Which I'm going to have to do over here. This is a bit of a juggling match. Okay, now I've signed in. All right, so why you're not letting me see my apps? All right, I'm signed in there. I'm signed in here. I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do probably is leave the meeting momentarily, update that sign in, and then come right back. I'll be right back. And I'll put Renee in charge while I'm gone.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm back. And I'm not muted. Okay, good. I'm going to reclaim my status as host. Sorry about that, Renee. Now let's try the apps again. That looks more promising. Bingo. All right. Now let me share my Zoom screen with you so you can see what I'm looking at. And all right, you should now be seeing my Zoom screen. Let me spotlight myself. Get that out of the way. Okay, so here are the apps that I've picked out after going through all 92 pages. There are 1,800 and some apps. These are the ones that looked especially useful. Let me get this out of the way. And the one I want to show you first, the one that I'm having the most fun with, is this Pexels app. I found this by going to Discover and scrolling. In this case, I get a much wider variety of Zoom apps, but by no means all of them. They're available. Zoom seems to pick a selection of apps that it thinks you might be interested in. I don't know if it's completely random or if it relates to what you've looked at in the past or something like that. But you still have that Discover More Apps on the App Marketplace link at the bottom here. So you can go to that and pull up your app marketplace. Before we move on with this demonstration, I'm having to show you this using my paid Zoom Pro app, but it doesn't mean that if you want to play with these, that you have to go and buy yourself a Zoom Pro account outside of Confer Zoom. You, of course, can do that and use some email address other than your district email address to associate with it. It'll accept any email address. We all have personal email addresses, probably. And you can get a free Zoom account just for the asking by going to zoom.us. And there's a big button up, if you're not logged in to your Confer Zoom account, there's a big button up in the upper right that says sign up, it's free. And you can create a free Zoom account in about 2 minutes. It has the vast majority of the capability that your Confer Zoom account has. There are maybe two major limitations to the free Zoom accounts. The main one is that Zoom meetings that have more than 2 people in them can't last for more than 40 minutes. What Zoom doesn't advertise is that if you want to meet for more than 40 minutes, all you have to do is restart a new meeting and have everybody join back in. It's a little disruptive, but once they've done it once or twice, they figure it out pretty easily. You all certainly figured this out in a hurry today, and what I just did with you is a lot more complex than what just restarting another meeting in the same account would be. Particularly if they have your personal meeting link, all they have to do is, when the meeting ends automatically at the end of 40 minutes, all they have to do is wait 30 seconds or so, and then click on that link again, and they'll go right back into the new meeting. And then you can go another 40 minutes. And you can keep doing that all day if you want to with Zoom. So that's not a huge limitation on your free Zoom account. Your free Zoom account will allow you to have up to 100 participants in it, just like your Confer Zoom account allows you to have 300 participants. Folks, when our class sizes get above 100, I think we're all going to need to find another way to make a living. That ain't right. That ain't going to happen. So your free Zoom account will allow 100 people to join, along with 99 plus you. You also, in the free Zoom account, don't get access to polling or breakout rooms. Those are advanced features that are only available in paid Zoom accounts. But if you're not using that feature that day, that's not a big deal. And if you're using your free Zoom account to just talk to one other person, there's no time limit. You can run your Zoom meeting as long as you like. Also, there's no limit in any free Zoom account on the number of meetings you can have in any given period of time. You get unlimited number of meetings. The only real limitation is the 40-minute time limit, and that's easily subverted. And in context with our topic right now, free Zoom apps have access to almost all of the Zoom apps that I'm going to show you today. Almost all the ones in that catalog can be utilized in a free Zoom account. You, in effect, when in your free Zoom account, you are your own account administrator. And when you try to load a Zoom app in a free Zoom account, there's a little option button just below when you go to load the Zoom app. There's a little option button that allows you to turn on access permission for this app, since you are your own administrator. And you turn that on, and then you can load the app in much the same way that I showed you earlier with some of those other apps. So you can play with these by creating your own free Zoom account if you haven't already done that. Also, I've noticed that Tech Connect has added that message at the beginning when you start a Zoom meeting in your Confer Zoom account or join a meeting being held in a Confer Zoom account. You get that little stipulation that it's educationally related and utilized for the purposes of the California community colleges and so on. They didn't used to bother with that because they were happy with you using that account in any way you wanted to so that you would get more familiar with Zoom. But I guess they figure by now everybody's gotten about as familiar with Zoom as they need to, so they've added that restriction, and you have to agree to it, that you can't just use that to talk to your relative and across the country on a personal note. Your free Zoom account you can use for that. So it's handy to have a free Zoom account. I have like 3 or 4 of them. You just have to have a separate email address for each Zoom account. So you have to go and make another free account somewhere. If you want another free Zoom account, you just make another email account somewhere on Outlook.com or Yahoo or Gmail or any number of other free email providers that you can get accounts from, and then use that to sign up for another free Zoom account. And Zoom doesn't seem to care. At least they don't do anything to prevent it. So, fine. So you can have a free Zoom account and you can load these apps, and if you find something that's absolutely compelling that you really want to use with your students, you can just send your students the join link for your free Zoom account instead of the one for your Confer Zoom account. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. The students' privacy issues aren't any more acute in the free account than they are in the Confer Zoom account. So if you see anything here that you really like, you can utilize it with your students, with the stipulation that you're going to have to renew the meeting every 40 minutes if you need to go longer than 40 minutes with them. Another thing you can do is some of these apps are content creation type apps, and you can use them with your free Zoom account as long as you're not creating content that lasts for more than 40 minutes. So there's a lot of things you can do with some of these apps immediately just by creating yourself a free Zoom account. So let's take a look at a few of these that I've put in here. In my app marketplace, if I go, first off, I have to sign in here with my Google credentials. There I am. Okay, and I can go to manage my apps and look at added apps, and I can see the ones here that I have added. And the one I want to start with is the Screencast-O-Matic video editor. This is actually a really good video editor that you can access for very minimal cost. I'm going to go back to my apps here. And the Screencast-O-Matic video editor, are you seeing this? Yes. No, you're not. Yeah, you are. Okay. Because I am sharing my Zoom screen, right. Okay, the Screencast-O-Matic video editor does not show up in your My Apps list here. It only shows up if you go to Screencast-O-Matic, the Screencast-O-Matic website. Screencast-O-Matic is a web-based screencasting tool, which allows you to record your computer screen, like the screen recorder in Canvas Studio. In fact, it is the same screen recorder that you have in Canvas Studio, or at least it works exactly the same way, and it looks exactly the same, because Canvas Instructure just bought a licensed version of the Screencast-O-Matic recorder from Screencast-O-Matic. So I can bring up this app, or rather I can go to the Screencast-O-Matic site, and let me make sure, and if at any point, since there's a lot of balls in the air here, if at any point I'm talking about something and you can't see it, please let me know immediately. But Screencast-O-Matic.com, a made-up word, is how you access Screencast-O-Matic. And you have to sign in. If you want to use this app with the Zoom app, you have to have what's called a deluxe account with Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic does offer free accounts, but they don't offer the level of capability that it would be required for this Zoom app. The good news on that is the pricing for educators on this is $18 a year. If you sign up using your sdccd.edu account, you can have full access to the deluxe level, which is the minimum paid level for Screencast-O-Matic, for $18 a year. That's not, they're not really sucking much blood out of you for this. And this gives you the capability to do what I'm about to show you here. I've already logged in here, and I'm going to pull up my Screencast-O-Matic video editor, which is the same video editor, by the way, that you have access to in Canvas Studio, but this one works better. It's better resourced than the one in Canvas Studio. It has exactly the same interface, and it's the same code, but Canvas Studio hasn't resourced it to the level Screencast-O-Matic has at their site. And what that means to you is that you can use this editor to edit your 2-hour, 3-hour long Zoom recordings. If I bring up that editor by clicking on that button there, I'm asked to open this editor. And in a moment, it will come up. And you should now be seeing my Screencast-O-Matic video editor. And since I have enabled this Zoom app and linked it to my Screencast-O-Matic account, I have this little connect button here in the upper right hand corner. And when I click that, I can, since I've loaded that Zoom app, I can connect with Zoom. And I can connect, this gives me the capability to automatically or to easily pull up my local Zoom recording files from my local hard drive, or have Screencast-O-Matic automatically scrape my Zoom cloud recordings out of the Zoom cloud. So this is kind of reminiscent of that app I showed you early on for Google Drive that can automatically pull your Zoom cloud recordings into Google Drive. This allows you to pull them into Screencast-O-Matic's editor so that you can edit them. And it allows you to do so more or less automatically. I can't connect this automatically with my Zoom account because my paid Zoom account and my Screencast-O-Matic account don't have the same email associated with them. And in order to demonstrate that for today's thing, I would have had to have signed up for a second deluxe account with a different email address at Screencast-O-Matic and for a year, and it would have cost me, since I can't use my sdccd.edu account because that's in use at Zoom for something else, it was going to cost me $50, and I just didn't. And my wife told me she'd do violence to me if I did that for just this one demonstration. So normally I would just click right here, select account, and launch the web browser, and it would link my Zoom account. Let me show you what the dialog looks like. Get this out of the way. Yeah, I get this message, failed to finish Zoom account authorization, because the emails don't match, and I'm just not willing to. But what you would see if I did this is basically what you see here. Bunch of Zoom recordings that get automatically pulled down. I can still pull a new Zoom recording in that I have done locally, since I do most of my recordings locally anyway. It doesn't affect me that much functionally. So I can just click this import button here, and I can navigate to my Zoom folder under Documents, which is where my local Zoom recordings are stored automatically, and I can just pick a recent one, like from, let's see, let me pick one where there's not a bunch of them. Yeah, there's a Zoom recording that's stored on my local hard drive. I just select that and click Open, and it starts importing it into Screencast-O-Matic. In a moment, it'll appear in another category here of today. And I don't especially have to wait on that. I can just go ahead. This is one I imported yesterday for purposes of this demonstration by that same process. If I want to edit this recording, I just double click on it. And here it drops that recording into Screencast-O-Matic's interface, and I have my Screencast-O-Matic editor. If I hadn't already pulled this video up into Screencast-O-Matic already, this process would have taken a little longer. I just didn't want to make you wait around while I was doing that. And this editor has considerable capability. It is really a pretty full-featured video editor. And remember, this costs you $18 a year. What, $1.30 40 cents a month. I can play this. Well, welcome everyone. The video and the audio quality are great. I have a potload of tools here. I can, a common one is the cut tool. I can magnify the timeline here, so I can, you'll note this Zoom recording is about, 170 minutes long, over 2 hours. So it shows the whole length of the recording on the timeline here. I can magnify that timeline, and now things go a lot faster when I play. Well, welcome everyone. Let's say I wanted to cut everything out before where I start talking. I can cancel this out. I can move my edit cursor over to just before where I start speaking. I can now say cut, and I can just click and drag that over, and I can cut that piece off. So now, well, welcome everyone. And I can do the same thing at the other end. I can scroll to the other end of my timeline, and I can move my cursor over here. I can cut at the other end as well. I can insert videos into the timeline by just going to the insert tool, insert video from my computer. And I can just go to my videos folder, and I can pick a video that I have on my local hard drive. I can open that, and the insert will happen wherever I have this little blue bar, and I can OK that. And it inserts that. So now I've added a video to this timeline. Here's my original Zoom recording over here. And here's that video that I just recorded. Or that I just inserted, I should say. So I can also do things like cut stuff out of the middle of the video. If I put my edit cursor in the middle of the video and click and drag, I can cut out stuff from the middle of the video as well. And there, as you can see from the list of tools here, and I don't have time to do a full tutorial on this video editor, but there are lots of other things I can do here. I can add narration. I can add transitions between clips. I can speed up or slow down playback on a video. I can add overlays, images, and things like that over top. I can do all sorts of special effects editing here with this editor. It's really quite a capable editor. And again, $18 a year. And I can have it automatically pull my Zoom recordings down so that I don't even have to go and download the Zoom recordings manually and then import them into Screencast-O-Matic. It will do that for me automatically. So this is a pretty darn capable Zoom app. And if you were, say, if you just wanted to use this app for this, if you just, I'll get it out in a minute. If you wanted to use this app for this purpose, you could just create yourself a free Zoom account and pull down your Zoom recordings from your state-supplied Zoom account, which I've done here, and then edit them. And once you are done with your editing, this gives you this system gives you the option to either save the edited video as a file on your local hard drive. You can upload it to Screencast-O-Matic servers where it can be from which it can be shared with your students. But you get a limited amount of storage at Screencast-O-Matic. But the real great option here is that you can upload this to YouTube. YouTube accounts are free and they are unlimited. You can store as much video there as you like. And the videos can be, if the account is verified, they can be as long as you like, and they can be as many of them as you like. So it's unlimited usage, and you can share your videos with your students from YouTube very easily through Canvas or other means. So this gives you a complete video production environment. This app does. The app is free. The Screencast-O-Matic account to use it is $18 a year. And if you're an educator, and you sign up using an EDU email address is all they require for verification. So this one got me excited. This one is pretty cool. It cuts out a lot of the hassle and time that it takes to edit your Zoom recordings in something like Camtasia. And it allows you to upload it to YouTube, where it can be automatically captioned so that your edited videos are automatically accessible to your students with hearing impairment and other needs. So it's really a pretty cool app. And I can do this in Screencast-O-Matic because I installed that Screencast-O-Matic app in my Zoom account. Okay, now in the 15 minutes we have remaining, I'm going to kind of jump through some of these that I found useful. This one, meeting metrics, gives you a better, and that is visible over here in my installed apps, which I am still sharing with you. Yes, I do believe so. Again, let me know if you can't see something. If I pull that up, I haven't done enough meetings in this account yet to show off the capabilities of this in actual time here. But if I expand that over, this gives you aggregate data on your talk time in meetings. And it analyzes the relative amount of time you are talking and that others are talking, or indeed individuals are talking. So you can see who's participating in your Zoom meetings. You can see how much participation there is. And pretty soon, you're going to be able to measure your results against other people using this app. There's also a daily breakdown if I had enough meetings that I'd done recently in this Zoom account. You'd have once you have recorded at least one meeting, we'll display the following data for your meetings. So I could see a daily breakdown of this kind of data. So this gives you some feeling for how your Zoom meetings are going, who's participating, how much time you're spending speaking versus your students, and so on. So it's a useful little app. I just minimized it back down using this button here in the upper right. And I can close this app at any time and go back to my apps list. So that's meeting metrics. Here's a collaborative whiteboard called Miro. If I start Miro, it starts a new whiteboard and it shares it with you. Or it gives me the option to start a new whiteboard. We'll just call this demo 2/11/2022. And I'm going to set this to anyone can edit. Now, I haven't actually been able to try this. Theoretically, I think at this point you all should have access to it. Let me share, click share, invite, copy team invite link. I'm going to do this anybody with the link. It won't let me say that. So I'm going to share, invite team, can edit, copy team invite link. And then presumably if I go to the chat tool here and put that link in, you all should be able to access this board. I don't know if you're going to have to create an account or not. It's probably not worth worrying too much about right now. But I know that certainly it is possible to share this whiteboard with your students in that regard. And it's a fairly capable whiteboard, and it seems to be free. And you've got a pen here. You can change pen. You can select pens or markers. You can change the colors.
Is it like a Jamboard, or is it like the?
It's like Jamboard. You've got sticky notes. Which you can move around and so on. So it's an alternative to Jamboard, which some people may find. But it's tightly integrated with your Zoom meeting. So all you have to do to start it up, instead of having to, start up Jamboard, minimize your Zoom meeting, start up Jamboard, share your screen and pull your Jamboard window up and so on. This just pops up in Zoom. And it has a lot of the same capabilities as Jamboard. So that's, and it's not the only whiteboard that is in this app list that I have picked up here. There's also Scribble, which is a really, really, really simple shared whiteboard, which works pretty much the same way. You just create a board. I need to sign in, I guess. And that, to share this one, I may have to. You might have to be. You might have to create a Scribble account. So I just have to agree to everything. Create a board. And cancel that. I'll sign in. Pop this out. I don't want to take the time to worry about a code and so on. So this one's a little cranky. I'm not terribly thrilled with that. So I'll just close this and I'll open my apps back up. And I can drag this over. If I get part of the screen covered up with this apps list here, I can just click and drag the boundary between the two, and I can get my Zoom screen back in front of me here. Lucid Spark is another one. This one requires some money, I think, but it's a very powerful whiteboard. Any of you use Kahoot? A student response tool allows you to provide fun quizzes for your students during online during a synchronous session. Kahoot has a
Is Kahoot a hoot?
Kahoot's a hoot, and if the this provides a when you set up a Kahoot quiz, you get a join code that you share with your students, and then they can join, and you can do all this right from within Zoom. Or you can, if you already have the Kahoot quiz set up, you can activate it right from within Zoom and immediately begin sharing it with your students while in the Zoom meeting, so that they can participate in the quiz and you can get their responses and talk to them about it. It's an alternative to the Zoom polling app that's a lot more fun, and it's a lot more like bar trivia than the Zoom whiteboard app is, or the Zoom polling app is, and it's more likely to engage students and so on. Kahoot's, I know, a tool that a lot of people use at the district, and there is an app that can be utilized, and you could utilize that with your students at this point from a free Zoom account or one that you might have paid for. There are team games other than little quizzes that you can play. And one that I found particularly intriguing for some reason, I'm going to show you how to add a Zoom account or a Zoom app from this paid account here, or from your free account, by just going to Discover and going to the app marketplace. You're seeing that. And I can search for bingo. And there's a bingo app for Zoom. So if you just want to take 15 minutes off in the middle of a intense Zoom session and let your students play bingo, you get this Visit Site to Add button, which you click on. It asks you if you want to integrate it with your Zoom account. You authorize it, and then you open that. And here's bingo for Zoom. And we can pull that up. We can play one or two cards and start. Da, 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 da. I don't know. Let's face it. This game has had endless fascination. All right, G49. Nope.
Christmas bingo?
Huh?
Is that Christmas bingo or something?
Yeah, it's bingo. Yeah, Christmas bingo. G57. Nope. So you can just you got the mindless entertainment of bingo, and you get points when you get bingos and things like that. And if you're doing it as a group, of course, the first person to get a bingo, gets the credit, and then you move on. You can apparently set this up and have a ball with it. I haven't gone far enough into it to give you detailed instructions on how to do this, but this is one that I found that looked like it might be fun. So, let's see, is there anything else here I wanted to share with you? We're just about out of time. Oh, and yes, the last one. This is the one that I enjoy the most. To show you this one, I have to change my video here to just me. And I have to take my my chroma key, my remove a color off there. Okay, now I'm just speaking to you. I'll stop the share. Now you're just seeing me normally. And Pexel. You click that one. I guess I really should be sharing this screen so you can see the app interaction as well. Okay, now you're seeing my Zoom screen again. Pexel gives you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of free virtual backgrounds for Zoom. here are all your categories, like sky. I like this one. If I want that as my virtual background, I just click on it. Boom. And it adds it to my virtual background collection in my Zoom client. Right there. And so I can use it again without bringing the app up. And I can have as many of these as I like. And it makes adding new Zoom backgrounds so much easier than the Zoom interface does, that it's kind of worth it all by itself. There's the moon behind me there and so on. So this is the one I've most enjoyed playing with. It's not hugely instructional, but it's cool and it's useful. And it's something that can save you some time and effort. It's be particularly useful for people who aren't real comfortable with adding Zoom backgrounds in the usual way by going to the add button here and selecting any image and downloading images from the internet and then finding images that they can use for backgrounds and so on. That process is a whole lot less simple than this. Just clicking on a link in Pexel and pulling up the Zoom background. So, if this has intrigued you, you can get your own free Zoom account, and you can go to the Zoom app marketplace, as I've shown. You can discover apps, and you can try things to your heart's content. And if you find something that's especially useful, you might even be able to make use of it through your free Zoom account, either for yourself, like the Screencast-O-Matic editor app, or in shorter Zoom meetings with your students. All right. Let's see if I have any questions in this chat. Don't think so. And let me ask you if you all have any more questions for me.
I do.
About this or anything else.
I do. It's me, Kathy.
Good. Go.
All right. Are there any apps? Because I have this totally asynchronous class, public speaking class.
Right.
And I'm really struggling with it. They're not keeping up with the work. I mean, I even had a 4-week class and I didn't have problems. So is there any way can any of these apps help with them, like that I can put together so that they can communicate with each other? I know they have like different time periods, but some of them are just not responding. I mean, and to what point can a professor threaten a class?
Right.
I'm sorry, that was you're filming this part.
No, I do understand. Anything that would be particularly useful there, keeping it. So you're really looking for another communication channel.
Yes.
And they're not using Canvas, apparently. They're not like using discussions in Canvas or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I even learned how to set it up so that they can communicate and talk with each other through there. But I have students who are saying like say, hey, I'm doing my job, but no one's responding back.
Right.
And I know that there are, like, for instance, I've talked to instructors who are business communications, and so like that, they're saying like the excuse that students use, like, oh, I'm really busy, I'm working, is not an excuse, because they said that happens in business all the time, that you give people a list of when you're available and it's your responsibility to.
Well, yeah, they signed up for the class, so they committed to a certain reasonable level of work. And if they can't put in that level of work, they shouldn't have signed up. Or as the old saying goes, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't have signed up. But
yeah, I
you
think
have
they
a
can
right
just
to expect a
themselves.
certain level of participation. So
Right.
what we're really talking about here is making that participation as easy, seamless, and efficient as possible so that it doesn't take an unreasonable amount of time for them to communicate.
I think they think they're just going to film themselves and turn it in. That's not public speaking. I
That's
mean,
not
even
much.
in it's in the curriculum that it has to be a live audience somewhere.
Well, the one thing I can think of that might help right off the top of my head would be Slack, which is a
Well, they are slackers, but no.
yeah, well, that's what they call people who use Slack, is slackers. But Slack is an enhanced video discussion tool that's utilized in business a lot. But there at least used to be a free level of it that you could sign up and use for free with a limited number of people, like the number of people in a class would be. And there's an app for it, and there's a connector with Zoom so that you can start your Zoom meetings from within Slack and things like that. I honestly don't know if they're not, it's not that different from the tools that they already have in Canvas that they're not utilizing. But like the discussion boards in Canvas or Flipgrid in Canvas, the video discussion board and so on that you can set up. Flipgrid might be another thing that would be useful.
I don't think I know what Flipgrid is. I've seen it.
Yeah,
Written.
Flipgrid is, and that there's not, to my knowledge, a Flipgrid Zoom app. So we're moving on to other discussions. But
I mean, is there a tutorial for it?
Yeah, I do have tutorials online for it. Flipgrid is a free video discussion board that you can integrate with your Canvas courses that students can use. It makes it very easy for them to record videos and share them with the class. And it's a more fun interface than, say, Canvas Studio, which they can use as well, but it's lighter weight, it's more fun, but it's still powerful. And we have a number of tutorials on our on-demand tutorial site, which I have up here somewhere. No, that's not it. Well, maybe I don't. Just a second. Let me pull that up. I take every opportunity to push this site. And I am sharing my screen. Yep, so you should now be able to see our Open On Demand at SDCCD site, which has hundreds of video tutorials on all sorts of things in it. It's accessed at sdccdolvid.org. I can put that in the chat tool. If I can find the chat tool here. There we go. That link, that's just popped up in chat for you. That link is also at the end of every one of my emails that I send. It's in my email signature. If you go to here, type Flipgrid, all one word, in the search box, press enter. We have a number of tutorials or some professional development sessions that we've done on Flipgrid. It's a great little tool to help, and in a communication class, I think it would be especially useful. And they might find it a lot easier to use and a lot more fun than Canvas Studio or Zoom itself in recording presentations and so on. And it has the capability to do all that. And it's automatically shared with the class when they do it. They don't have to go through a process. You don't have to go through a process of collecting their recordings and sharing them with the class and so on. They automatically show up.
So I just how do I put that into my I already have a discussion, and I check the part that says group, so that they are communicating as a discussion with each other and only with their group. So do I add that?
Well, with Flipgrid, it's all or nothing. It's everybody or nobody. Flipgrid doesn't work with Canvas groups.
Oh.
But it would allow them to share it with everyone and also work on it. Well, if they're going to do it collaboratively, they're probably going to create it in Zoom, though. But you might find Flipgrid useful, if nothing else, as an adjunct to what you're doing now, to get them communicating.
I'm just trying to think of visually, where do I put it? Do I
Uh,
email them and say they should create it themselves, or do I do it through a discussion? Do I do it through
No,
a module?
Flipgrid is an alternative to the discussion tool in Canvas. It shows up in the course menu, and they can
Okay.
use it right from there. And this will show you how to add it to your Flipgrid course, or to your Canvas course, excuse me. And here's a
Like Canvas, it would show up like Canvas Studio does?
It is not a no. It's an alternative to Canvas Studio.
No, I mean, where would it be? When students look for it, will it be on
It would be in the course menu.
the course menu? Okay.
Yeah, it'd be in the course menu. And here's
Is that gray part on the side? I'm sorry, but is that gray part that's on the left-hand side of where your courses show up?
no. That's the blue links on the left hand side of your course.
Oh, with grades and,
Yeah, grades and things like that, and
Okay.
discussions and all that. It'll appear right there.
oh, okay.
And here's a tutorial for students on how to use Flipgrid in our
Using Flipgrid for students. Okay.
and we've done this. I've done presentations on Flipgrid as part of professional development sessions several times, but there is one from November the 15th of last year strictly on Flipgrid that shows you everything you need to know about using Flipgrid and shows you what you can do with Flipgrid. So this one might be useful if you were planning on using it or thinking about using it. And I think it's about an hour long. The actual presentation's about an hour long. There was a question and answer period after that, but there was I think the presentation was less than an hour. So those are some possibilities
Okay. Thank you.
I can throw out that might help. I don't know. But that's, God knows, motivating. But you certainly have a right to expect participation. And in the final analysis, that's what God made F's for. Okay. Or D minuses in the case of Peppermint Patty. All right.
You have the right to fail.
You have the right to fail.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Please jump in. About this or any question you have at this point. It doesn't have to be about Zoom apps or anything in particular. Anything I can help with.
Maybe any advice from the other faculty member who's taught totally asynchronous classes? How you get them to communicate, or
I'm really willing to borrow good ideas, huh? I hear you.
yes, appropriate.
As opposed to misappropriate.
Outright steal.
Okay.
We could definitely use that. What was that app you showed where you see how much you're talking versus the people in the group?
Oh
talk?
yeah. The which one was that? That was the meeting metrics app. Yeah. I look forward to getting some data on that, perhaps, because this is the first really live meeting I've done with my paid account. I just have it for purposes of research and things like that, like being able to utilize the Zoom apps and learn about them without being limited by the restrictions placed on the Confer Zoom account in that regard. So, also, at some point in time, I may no longer be associated with as a contractor with the district, and I may start using my own Zoom app for other purposes. I have a little consulting business that I had to set up in order to get paid by the district to do this, and so far the district has been my only customer, but that I might go searching for others if they once they no longer need me. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I hope to have some more data on that, and there were, like I say, there was something on the order of 1,800 apps in that store. You may find some things that look interesting to you that I didn't think were worth loading in for today, but it's certainly worth going through and taking a look at if you're interested in Zoom apps. And I figure you wouldn't, if you weren't interested in the idea of Zoom apps, you wouldn't be here today. So, all righty. Any other questions? Anything else I can help with?
I hate dead air. But
I'm sorry?
I said I hate dead air, but if no one's going to say anything, is there a chance? Because like sometimes when you add an app and it looks like it's legitimate, is there any way that we can be confused, or is there any way to guarantee that we know it's from that place?
Zoom seems to do a very good job of vetting these apps before they put them in the app marketplace. So I don't think you're likely to run into anything in the app marketplace that's going to harm your Zoom account or your computer or anything like that. I would be very surprised. I haven't been concerned about that.
Because I did have a fake or something. It was I guess a fake Microsoft, and it said "warning, warning." Yeah, luckily I didn't hit it.
Here, you're not clicking on a link in an email or something like that somebody sent to you. Here, you're actually going and actively seeking out the apps in the Zoom marketplace. I can't guarantee you they're absolutely perfect at vetting these things, but it would be, think about it, if they gave access to an app that misbehaved and stole data or something like that, that would really blow back on Zoom seriously. So they have a real motivation here to make sure that the apps in their app marketplace are safe. And I'd say your chances are very, very remote that you would ever pick up an app that would do anything untoward. So I'm not overly concerned about that. That is all I can tell you. But you always want to think in those terms. Is this something that I really want to have connected to my Zoom account or connected to my Google account or my Microsoft Teams account or whatever? Where is that data going to end up? How's it going to be used? Yeah, I'm not saying it's an illegitimate concern, but I'm fairly comfortable with Zoom's due diligence on this.
And you said that the flip grid might be more useful, but it's not with Zoom.
No, that's not a Zoom app. It's just another online resource. You go to a website to sign up for it. And Flipgrid, I know, is fine. Lots of people at the district are using Flipgrid. We've trained on it for some time. I've never heard anything bad about Flipgrid. Everybody who uses it seems to love it. And it just really adds another level of communication to your Canvas courses. And it's so much easier to utilize than Canvas Studio, which has a lot of the same capabilities when combined with Canvas discussion topics. And Canvas Studio, you can do most of the things you can do with Flipgrid with those two tools that are already built into Canvas. But Flipgrid just makes it more easy and fun for the students. And for you. You can create some hilarious videos with Flipgrid with minimal effort. And you can also do screencasting with it. You can record your screen with Flipgrid and put little ad hoc tutorials up for your students in your Flipgrid discussions and so on. So it's a neat tool, and it's one that people who use it just love it. So,
Because I think I'd ask you about something that Zoom could put into Canvas where students can meet and.
Yeah, there are, we have the Confer Zoom app in Canvas now, which is what we're using for that. But, and it does have considerable capability, but it's not the best designed app I've ever seen. And there are some problems with access for faculty accessing it sometimes. If your email addresses in PeopleSoft and Canvas aren't set all the same way and aren't set to your district email account. But there are other Zoom Canvas apps that connect Zoom and Canvas together that we will have access to when we transition the management of our Confer Zoom apps from Tech Connect to online learning pathways, online learning pathways in IT at the district.
Oh, so we can't do that now.
But that's not going to happen right away. I asked my dean just yesterday, or 2 days ago, when could this happen? He said anytime from the summer, the upcoming summer quarter to the following winter quarter. They're just not sure at this point in time. At that point in time, you will get a better Zoom Canvas app, which has better capabilities.
So that Zoom app that's already in Canvas, where you could set up your own meetings there, that can't be just used. You can't just set up one for 5 different groups of students.
Yeah, I think you can. With the Confer Zoom app, yeah, I think so.
Okay. It doesn't conflict with my personal Zoom app.
No, not in any way.
All right, thank you.
It just gives you access to your Zoom app in Canvas, to your Confer Zoom account while you're in Canvas. You can schedule meetings, and you can schedule meetings with groups and things like that in there as well. So that might be worth a look. And it's already in your Canvas course. It's there automatically. You just have to be sure, if you want to use that Confer Zoom app in Canvas, that the default email address you have set in the portal in PeopleSoft is your sdccd.edu account. And that's not always automatically true. You have to go into the portal and check. And you also have to go into Canvas and check and see that your sdccd.edu email account is set as your primary email account in Canvas, which you do in your account settings page. And once those are lined up, then you can use the Confer Zoom app to your heart's content. But if you try to go into Confer Zoom and it doesn't sync up, then you've got an email issue somewhere, either in PeopleSoft or in Canvas. And I guess I can show you that if you would like. Let me pull up.
And I'm sorry if it seems like I'm monopolizing your time with the others.
Well, no, everybody else had a chance. I'm sorry, I just got that dreaded notice that my internet connection's unstable. Hopefully you're still hearing me.
Yes.
Okay. Here I am in Canvas. If I go to my account link in the gray bar in the Global Access menu and go to Settings, here's my email settings in Canvas. And mine's different, but you will have to have your sdccd.edu account set as your primary, which you do by clicking in this star column here. Mine's different because my Confer Zoom account is set up differently. So I have to have my personal Yahoo account set up because I've been around too long. And I've been bad in the past, I guess, or something. I'm paying for past sins. Karma is... Karma gets you sooner or later. Okay, so as long as that's set up properly, as long as that star is next to your EDU account, and you have it set in the portal, which I can't show you because I'm no longer an employee. I don't have access to the portal, the PeopleSoft portal. But as long as those email addresses line up, when you go into a course, you will have access to the Confer Zoom account. Let's see if I can find a course where I've left that in the course menu. Oh, no, it looks like I've taken that out of this one. Let me put it back real quick. It's down here somewhere. There it is. Put that back in here. And save the change.
That was Zoom and Confer Zoom.
Yeah, the Zoom is something else. That's that's a different one. Here's Confer Zoom. Okay, this is something different. Here's the Confer Zoom app that you will see. If you click on that, in you go, and you can select. Let's see, user list. Oh, appointment booking. There we go. You can book appointments, and you can oh gosh, how does this work with groups? This is for individual appointments, isn't it? Yeah.
In groups.
You know, now that I think about it, I'm not sure you can use this for group discussions in Zoom. Because you can schedule events. And if you click schedule and you don't get this page, this pane right here, you have an email problem. You have to go fix that before you can get this working. What you can do from here is just quick launch a Zoom meeting and then send invitations to the students that you want to work with in that meeting.
But I have to be there.
But you have to be there.
Okay, so I can't just say 12 to 2 for one group and 4 to 5.
I don't know of a way to do that, no. The only way I can think of that they could have their own group Zoom meeting with nobody else in it is for one of them to create a free Zoom account and invite the others to it, and start a meeting and invite the others to it. And I do still have that on my list of tutorials to create for students to how to make their own Zoom account and then invite their peers to it. And that one is near the top of my list right now. So that's probably the only way you can do what you're thinking, is have them have their own Zoom room to work in.
Or the Flipgrid.
Or, well, yeah, but Flipgrid operates, it's not a real-time meeting tool. They could use Pronto as well, which is down here in your global access menu. And they can start Pronto meetings as well among themselves.
I think I've
So
heard
that's another training tool, another bit of training that have to be done. To tell you the truth, I think it'd probably be easier for one of them to create a Zoom account and use that because they're used to using Zoom.
but it would be separate from the Canvas. They have to.
Yeah, it wouldn't have anything. No, you couldn't really put a link in Canvas for that because it would be an individual student's Zoom account. You could, I'm making this up as I go along, you could create a Zoom link to your Confer Zoom account, which is what I've done here. And if I open Zoom meetings, I'll drop into my Confer Zoom account, which I don't want to do right now. But you can set that up as a link in your course menu by going to Settings and Apps and looking for just selecting Installed Apps and looking for the
I see Flipgrid.
redirect tool. Yeah, there's Flipgrid. That's how you load Flipgrid. But you can go to the redirect tool. And you can add that app to your course. You can call it, I'll just call it My Zoom Room. And you need your join URL for your personal meeting room, which I can get from my Zoom meeting. Oh, I know I can't. I'm in the wrong one. Let's see. How can I get that? Because it's a pain in a keister to type. Oh, I know. I can pull it up from an email. Making it up as we go along. I just need to pull up my Outlook here, which I don't seem to have running. So I can pull up Outlook and I can go and I can find, I can just start a new email. And here's my, oh, that's not right. That's not the one I want. I can go to my sent items. And here's that link I sent, here's that message I sent out last night. And there's my Zoom link. I can copy that. And I can paste that in here. And I can say show in course navigation. And I can add the app to my list here. To have it appear in my course menu, I have to refresh the screen. And there's my Zoom room. All right, that's equivalent to this one. I've put that in there twice under different names, which Canvas will let you do. And so I can access my Zoom room by just clicking on that and open it in a new tab and open Zoom meetings. But if in my Zoom profile, I go to my Zoom settings, I should say, and I set allow participants to join before host to on, then your students can also click on your Zoom link and drop right into your Zoom, personal Zoom room and talk to one another, and they can share screens, and they can do everything, and they can record. I think they can record. Yeah, if you leave recording available to participants in your Zoom room, they can record. So they could use your Zoom account to create their presentations. But
Yeah, I'm thinking of a big
I don't know if you really want them using your Zoom account for that or not.
I mean, I do have them. They are able to come into my Zoom room beforehand. I just didn't. And sometimes I notice that I'll log into my emails and I'll see where someone is logged in like the day before. Like I had 3 students who logged in a day before, and I'm thinking, I'm not there. Like I don't live in that Zoom room. Like
They were just hoping they'd catch you, huh? Yeah, but they could talk to one another, and they could plan and work and share their screens with one another and so on. So that is a possibility, whether you want to use it or not. I think it's probably better if one of the students makes their own Zoom account, and then they'd have more capability, and they'd be able to record to their local computers and so on. They could record their presentation and then upload the file to you into a Canvas assignment.
so it's just own Zoom account.
And I am working on that that tutorial. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten that one done yet, but the weekend is coming, right?
Thank you.
And that's right at the top of my list. Okay.
So when students did look, because I might need to check and see how long can students stay in my account, because like I see there, like I said, were they checking to see if I'm?
Oh, they can stay as long as they like.
Oh, I may have it set for that, but I saw something where you had like 5 minutes beforehand.
Oh no, that was just that if you set that parameter, they can't join anytime. They can only join a few minutes before your meeting. Okay. But if you uncheck that, they can join anytime. I have mine set. So and that's not set by default. So if you, in your account, probably that limitation's not set. So they can, obviously it's not, because you said somebody joined a day early.
Several people. That's not the first time. So now I'm wondering.
Oh, no, it happens to me all the time.
Okay. I need to change that then. I mean, they could be hanging out doing who knows what in my Zoom.
Yes, they could. They could be, oh God.
Having a revolution.
Think about what they could be doing in their Zoom account.
And then I'm the one that gets.
And they can record to their local computer, and it would have your Zoom account stamp on it. So.
Oh my gosh! I could be.
They could be. Something. You know, somebody in the San Fernando Valley could be using your Zoom account. You know what the leading industry in the San Fernando Valley is. I'm not going to mention it, but you can imagine.
Okay, I need to change. I need to reset that then. So the only reason that they can do that is because I must not have it set.
You're right.
But I can have it set to like 5 minutes before class.
You can do that, yes.
Okay.
That's a relatively recent capability that's been added to Zoom. Used to be, if you turned it on, they could come in anytime and you couldn't limit it. So.
Okay, thank you. I learned something I didn't know I needed to know.
Because I think people occasionally just drop in and talk to one another using my account. I set that up when not everyone had a Zoom account. Now just about everybody does, so it's not as useful as it once was, but to other people. But I don't care what people do in my Zoom account. If I'm not there, I don't have to look at it or listen to it.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. All right, some great questions. And looks like it's just the two of us left.
Oh, okay.
So is there anything else you want to ask about or talk about?
No, I think that's it. I just need to, like I said, I feel a little frustrated with the totally asynchronous, and
yeah, I what can I say?
I don't want to fail this.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I had emergency.
You've got some good ideas on how to mitigate that frustration.
Okay.
And
So maybe
I'll commit to getting you that tutorial for your students on how to create their own Zoom account by Monday. Okay.
Okay. So, but I probably should like make some kind of, because I had a special meeting yesterday, emergency meeting.
Ah,
3 people showed up.
yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And like, and then I have students who are, I
And
had
if
a
it's
deadline.
totally asynchronous, you can't force them to attend.
Yeah. And so, can you give them extra credit? I heard that you can't bribe them with extra credit to come.
I don't know. I wouldn't. That's an instructional matter. I would defer to your department head or your dean on that. I have certainly been known to do things like that, but I don't know if it's.
I pushed the exam back just to give people more time because I thought it's more important you focus on your group than an exam. Just do the exam when you get a chance. Because I know I can do that.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you for giving me permission for taping too.
Oh, well, always happy to do that.
Because I'm the kind of person I have to go back and look again, do it again. And doing a
There's no point in
search.
trying to hide things in this day and age, as it says in Jeremiah in the Old Testament, be sure your sins will find you out. So I've given up on that. Besides, I'm old enough that there's not much to be afraid of anymore.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
All right, Kathy. Thanks so much for coming.
How do I?
Talk to you soon. Bye bye.